Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Michel, and I want to welcome you to a very special edition of the Love Matters podcast brought to you by the Institute of Genetic Energetics. What makes this special today, well, there's a lot of things that make this special, but probably the thing that might seem goofy to a lot of you, but makes it very special to me is that the person I'm interviewing is a friend that goes back, to high school decades. And it's one of the few people from my school days that I've stayed in touch with consistently over the years. Um, Not even sure why. I think every time we get together, it's like, let's catch up with the world. And now the catch up has to be, or is going to be, around a subject that every one of us is experiencing on a daily basis. And actually, we've been experiencing it for more than a decade, but we've never really addressed it as what it is. The subject is artificial intelligence, AI, right? And our guest today is Michael Bowker. Michael is an incredible writer. He's been writing for years. At one point in time, he was probably one of the most read authors on the planet because of what he was doing and who he was writing for. But he's written fiction, nonfiction, screenplays. A brilliant man with a huge heart. And so I want to welcome Mike Bowker to the Love Matters podcast. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Larry, and thank you for all of that. It's really kind. I appreciate it. And I think people see real clearly why we've been friends for so long. I think when we get together, 90% of what we do is laugh.
That's true. It's true. And I left out all the anecdotes, right? All the crazy things that that we've done. And I want people at the beginning of this to really know who you are and kind of where you started. And this was actually new to me when I was talking to you last week, and I found out that like what your first book that you wrote was what, 6 years old, 7 years
I
old?
was
What was
6 years old. I had a real cool pencil, though.
that? It's like that's almost inconceivable to me. I mean, my daughter, when she was 2 and 3, was drawing things. I was going, "Oh my God, that's incredible!" But writing a book, actually sitting down and writing something. Tell us just kind of a little bit about your background and your upbringing that made you a lifelong writer. Even though I knew you wanted to be a professional golfer at one point in time, but.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to make up your mind on those things. Well, as we talked about, I grew up on a little tiny farm in Kansas. And from our actually the place where we live uh, was actually an old barn that they converted into a farmhouse. So there were kind of some holes and stuff in it. My dad had been in World War II, had been a Marine and got out and um, decided that he was going to be a teacher. Well, teachers didn't make anything in those days. So we had this farm and we grew watermelon and corn and stuff like that. So he could sell some things during the summer, but you couldn't see anything from our farm, from the little farmhouse. So I was pretty isolated. My brothers and sisters were a lot older, so they were always in school. I was all by myself. And my dad would read to me at night. He loved to read, the great books, and so those characters in those books, they were my friends during the day, and I'd play with them all day long. And so as I say, I got so where I didn't know where love ended and literature began. It was all one and the same to me. So at one point, I decided that after he had read some stuff about this, that I was going to write a book about the Snake River. I didn't have any idea where the Snake River was. I figured they called it that because there must have been a lot of snakes in it. But I was really interested in wagon trains and people going west, and so I wrote about that. And in my book, the snakes. The book was, by the way, it was 20 pages long. Pencil, I wrote it by
Wow.
pencil.
I mean, and you were how old?
I was six. My dad would bring the papers home to me and just hand them to me. these line papers. So I would write on it. And the snakes could talk in my book. And they got mad at the people in
But
the
of
covered
course,
wagons because the people weren't being nice to them and they couldn't figure that out. So they had these big discussions back and forth. Other than that, I don't remember much about that other than the topic of it. But yeah, I've been writing, and I think writing and playing sports is probably my 50-50 in my head all through. And then when you and I met in Bellevue and near Seattle, and Larry and I went, for the audience, we went to the first year at University of Washington together. We drove quite a bit, and there was a whole lot to talk about, and we did, and I don't think we've stopped.
it's true. It's very true. And there still is. I mean, I call you up to ask you a question and get off the phone 2 hours later and go, what happened to the time? But it's always, it's always been a pleasure. I'm so grateful for the relationship. So, Michael, you wrote a book on artificial intelligence, AI, and I think when you started this, there might have been a dozen books out. And now it
Yeah,
seems like there's a dozen books coming out a day. You know,
exactly.
I actually I said this to a friend the other day. I think that AI may be the most written about subject ever, within the next in the next decade.
I think, Larry, you're going to have another, and I don't think you would disagree with me about this. There's another topic that blows AI away and always, always will, and that's love stories and romance. Uh,
I was going to go there.
um,
Yeah.
you're never going to top that. But it was last year. I got interested in AI. It just stuff like that fascinates me. Although I write about all kinds of different things, and just for your audience, so I started my career on a newspaper in Northern California, and wrote. Then I went freelance for about 20 years. And I did an awful lot of writing for the LA Times. For 10 years, I wrote consistently for Reader's Digest, wrote some for the New York Times and every major newspaper in California, most of the major news magazines in the country I've written for. So it was just fun. It was just rock and roll time. Let's just do what comes up. But AI fascinated me. So I got into it. I wrote about 10, 15,000 words on the book, and I stopped. I said, okay, one of my mentors is was 102 years old, and she was a psychology professor at Stanford, and she's an MD as well. And I would tell her what I really want to do in my career at this point. I've written 25 books, 4,000 magazine articles. I want to stop doing nonfiction. I want to just write fiction. I want to write screenplays. I want to write love stories around the world. And so I stopped writing the AI book. And then my daughter had twins. And I thought, they don't have anyone protecting them from what AI could possibly do. And I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit. But if
Yes, we will.
I I have the pathway to do something, and how am I going to ever look at them and say, well, I just didn't do it because I want to do something else? So those are my twin reasons for finishing that book. And that is the only two reasons I have for doing it. Because the things that we need to do right now to protect that generation. How in the world can we ever look them in the face and say, well, you know what? We just didn't feel like it. We had something else to do. So
So that
with
was the impetus
background,
behind it. That was the reason that
yeah. And
inspired
I've done literally thousands of science and medicine stories. And so this isn't something that's that was too terrifying or anything for me. Although once I got into it, I thought, oh,
it.
I'm down this rabbit hole. How in the heck do you get out?
So you started it, it sounds to me like you started it almost like a research project, like, like a journalism project in a way. Um,
I started it to write a book from the beginning. I don't write many. although I probably will on this topic, but I don't write that many magazine newspaper articles anymore. For one thing, they're not hardly anybody reads newspapers and magazines anymore. Very frustrating for me to see the industry go down like it has. So podcasts now are the new thing, and it's they're fun, and I'm glad you were doing one. It's great, Larry. I'm proud of you.
Well, I've done, over the years, I've probably done now about almost 200 different radio shows or podcasts that I've hosted and been interviewed on far more than that. But I have not, I've been really selective recently. So it's not like a podcast of, oh, I got to do another one this week. It's more like what's calling, what really needs attention. And this one is just special for a number of reasons. One, because I get to do it with you. But then the subject of AI. And I've been pretty vocal about AI and have even written some protocols that I believe are really important for humans to have with AI, that I wrote because of my own experience with it. Because I've found AI to be um, unbelievably helpful and also one of the biggest pain in the asses that I can think of. It's like it is saved time and wasted time. It has been accurate and it has been absolutely inaccurate. But
Yeah.
just the breadth of what's available and how quickly is what amazes me. And then I have kind of a special interest is in terms of how education, especially with our kids, which is why I love why you got into this in the first place, how it's going to affect education, which is not, education needs a lot of help as it is. So,
Speaking of that, Larry, that is my next book that I'm already starting on. It is individualized learning and how AI, how we should use it in an individualized learning program, which is the future without question. Everything that we know about education is going to evolve very quickly. So
a lot of
that's,
teachers aren't going to be very happy about that unless they can
well,
move with it.
um, the book that I'm starting, and I've already begun this, and it starts right off by teachers don't need to fear this. They need to get on top of it and learn how to make AI work as a tool for them. They can learn so much more about each student, but the teachers still need to be there. They still need teachers as much as we ever have. And I don't think that it should, if we do it right, it should not lead to a layoff of teachers. I'm firm about that.
Yeah. So I
If we
agree
do
with
it
you.
right.
I agree with you, Michael, on that. And I think that the term, and not to go down this route into your next book yet, but individualized education
Yep.
is is a key terminology there.
Well, right
And
now we've got one kid that might be, let's say he's in fourth grade. He might be in eighth grade in math and second grade in English, and then vice versa. The other kid's the other way around, and we teach them exactly the same because they're the same age. It doesn't
right.
make any sense. Well, we didn't really have any choice because one teacher couldn't figure out how where everybody is. So you got this real narrow little spot. And if you happen to learn in their little narrow way that they taught, then you're going to be, when we were in school, they were the smart kids. Oh, they were smart. Well, they were the kids who fit into that narrow slot. Then there were kids like me, and they go, well, he plays basketball. We're going to give him a break. But then the problem
Then
with
there
it,
was the troublemakers like me.
yeah, no, actually, I'm going to tell your audience. I always considered Larry one of the smart kids, but there are other kids who don't fit into that slot, and they're not so smart. Well, that's wrong. That's just totally wrong. In their way, if you taught them visually or audio or kinetically, whatever way they learn the best, these kids are going to be really smart and keep them excited, keep them lifelong learners. And we can do that. That's part of learning how to use AI properly and doing it now. We don't have we don't have the luxury of time. I think that's one big theme in the book that I wrote. We need to act on these things. I'm talking the next 24 months.
Wow. So, Michael, you did something unique with this book, and that instead of just a how-to book,
Yeah.
and there's lots of those, how to write prompts, how to use AI, how to select it, just all the how-tos and what not to do books. You turn this into a story. I mean, it was kind of like you took the novel background from you and went, let's make this real and took the book kind of the whole story into a coffee shop, right? So tell us a little bit about that. How did you decide that you were going to deliver this essential information, but deliver it in a way that it could become like not just user friendly, but relate to us so instantly that we could walk away and the words of the book were not as important as the actions we took?
Well, I appreciate it, Larry. I appreciate that you nail it like that. And I think I did it for two reasons. It's set in a coffee shop. It's two people that don't know about AI talking to one person who does. And one of the people that doesn't know about AI is an older guy. Now he's really based on a character that I knew. The but I made a lot of it up. But they're asking questions that all of us would have of AI, and he's given them the answers in a way that they understand. And the whole point, the whole challenge I saw from starting the book is who the heck wants to read this? This is a nasty subject. It's tough. It can get real technical, and too many technical people write these kind of things with the help of a writer they'll hire and never say, "Hey, we hired a writer to write this, but we're not going to say anything because we want everybody to think we wrote it." Um, and it
And
comes
it's the
out,
farthest thing from romance, right?
yeah, it is. So I thought, I want to make this readable. I want to make this approachable. It's too important for us to veer in and go, oh my God, this is no, I want to move out. So I thought, how can I make this something that people would connect with? Okay, let's put them in a coffee shop and let's just have a regular discussion like you really would. And in Santa Barbara, where I am, uh, we go to coffee shops a lot. My friends are there, and we talk, talk, as you can imagine. And so that's what I'm going to do. Uh, and then, and I have to admit, at the same time, Larry, if it's not fun writing it, I'm typically not going to write it. I had fun challenging the daylights out of myself. Let's do a lot of dialogue. Let's set scenes. The first chapter is actually written as a screenplay. It's in a screenplay format. Um, and then the rest of the book is very dialogue heavy. It's very visual, but it does get when we start talking about recursive learning and back propaganda and all the neural stuff, it gets fairly complicated. So I kind of warn readers, you can skip this part if you want. But Lexi and Walter, my two characters, they stuck with me. So maybe it's not so bad. So let's roll. Let's see what we can do.
Well, I have to tell you, Michael, the review copy I got, the original one, I don't think had the screenplay
No, I put
in the
that in
first
there.
chapter, but I did not expect to pick it up and read it and not put it down till I was done. And in fact, I had no business doing that because I'm working on my own books, right? My own projects. And so it kind of, I literally did. I picked it up and I just read through it and it kept my attention all the way through. And that's pretty special considering the subject. Now,
Well, that's something coming from you. I appreciate it immensely.
so tell me a little bit about, now I know you wrote it kind of with the impetus of making sure that your young, your grandkids kind of had some information and direction that there's like, let's prepare for this.
Well, no, it's us that needs to do it. By the time they get to ability to read, it's way too late. This is for us. This is for people who maybe are retired or are 50 years old or are 40 years old. It's time to quit trying to pretend AI doesn't exist. It does exist. It's huge. It's coming like a tsunami, but we can deal with it if we take steps, and the steps are in this book. And as far as I know, Larry, I have not read another book that has these kinds of steps in them.
So let's go into that. Let's go into that. And are the steps, is this kind of like, here's how to prepare ourselves, or do we, well, just take me into it.
Okay.
And I'll
Well,
ask you questions as we go.
and the book has just very quickly, it tells the history of AI, where it came from. If you want to really get to understand the very basics, the very beginning, watch a movie called The Imitation Game. It's stunning. When I watched that, I went, "Oh my gosh, this truly was a major beginning of AI." And you'll see it when you watch that. The movie was made in 2014, but anyway, I don't want to get too far into that. So it's about, there's the history there. It explains, the book explains what AI is. People go, "Oh, I use ChatGPT. I know what AI is." And I go, "That ChatGPT, what we're using now, are the toes of a 10,000-foot giant. AI is huge. It is not ChatGPT. It is not Grok. It is not Gemini. It is huge. It is monstrously bigger than all of that." And I explain what it is, how it works, where it came from, who the major players are in it. And I do it quickly so you can read through there and catch it. And then we get into uh, the positive things that we could absolutely change a lot of what we do, what we think about, what where our evolution can take us. But then I also hit the chapter of uh, the real challenges that are there, and then I have a chapter about what we should do about it. And I said it's called Dancing with AI, and we got to learn to dance, because if we don't, it can cause serious, serious problems, but we can deal with it if we do it now.
Okay, so Michael, using your analogy, dancing with AI,
Dancing with AI.
uh, I love couples dancing. Or,
Larry, we're dancing on the edge with AI.
okay, so who is our dance partner? What is our dance partner is probably a better word.
Ourselves, actually. We have to learn what AI can do, what it can't, and what challenges it brings. And we need to make the moves then. But AI is, what is AI? AI, in one word, and I have a story about this, Larry. I've challenged 100 people about this. I say, "What is AI?" And they go, "Oh, it's artificial intelligence." No, 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 no. Tell me what it is. Tell me, it's one word. Tell me what it is. Now, I'm not asking you. I'm just saying this is the conversation that goes on. Nobody, one person has given me the answer. And when I say, when I tell you what it is, you're going to go, "Oh, yeah, I knew that." I said, "But I'm challenging you right now to tell me what it is. If you know what it is, tell me right now." Nobody does. And I'll say, "Okay, in one word, it's software." "Oh, yeah, I knew that." Uh, Everybody says that. You go, "No, you didn't. If you did, you would tell me." So AI simply is a software program that we have never seen before, completely different than anything we could possibly imagine, connected with the massive amount of hardware that's required to run it. Um, then you have a system that people call AI. But AI virtually is simply software. Okay. And it's based on mathematics, period. It does not have feelings. It does not have sentience. It does not have emotions. Can it in the future? It could. It could. But right now, it does not. And it is based on mathematics. And you'll love this, Larry, when chapter.
So, a question
Anyway,
for
go
you,
ahead.
Michael.
Keep me
Um,
in line, Betty. Keep me in line. You
okay,
can go
no,
off.
no, this is good. This is good. But the question I have for you is, Now you're calling it software.
Yes.
How many people do you think know actually what software is? I mean, I know that Microsoft Word is software, right?
Yeah,
Because
it's a
that's
little
what I've been
different,
told,
but it is
right?
different. Yes.
So, and I use it to write with.
Okay.
But
That's where I kind of draw the line because if you start talking about vinyl records, how in the hell do you get music on a vinyl record? Okay. There's a level at which we don't need to know any further. Okay. We just need to know that we're dealing with software because people have a vague idea what AI is. And I ask them, is it a great big circle thing going around the world? Is it, what is it? Because people will come and tell me, they'll say, oh, we don't have to worry about AI. All we have to do is unplug it. I'll say it's in every computer, it's in every hospital, it's in every system in the world. How are you going to unplug that? You can't.
it's in things that we use every day, right?
And
So yeah.
absolutely, you cannot stop it by unplugging it. I was, I'm also doing a story about with a UFC fighter who is in the Hall of Fame. He's got some really cool things to say about life. Well, I was with some of his buddies, and one of them was another UFC fighter. And he goes, "Oh, we'll just throw water on AI." And I go, "Oh my God, these guys are bright. They go to college, but people just have the wrong conception about AI." But let me give you an example of the solutions I've come up with. And this
Great.
one, you're gonna no one that I know of has come up with this solution. So you're going to be the first one to drop it on the world. But Larry, I think this may be one of the single most important things we need to do starting 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Let's not wait any longer. Okay. Um, the job displacement and layoffs that AI can create can be significant. Now, there's a big argument. It's going to be tremendous. It's going to be tens of millions, 100 million. Is it only be 2 million? People argue about that. And the people I've noticed who are got money in the game say, oh, it's not going to be that bad. People who are more independent are saying, yes, it could be real bad because anything that's repetitive, AI can do cheaper and better. They never get tired. It works 24/7. It's way better than humans at doing repetitive tasks and some certain other tasks. So if you can, like in one day, I ask it to do 5 different things. By the way, it did not write one word of this book. I refuse to put that on there. I wrote every word of this book. So AI did not do it. People love to ask me that. Did AI write the AI? No. I don't find it that good of a writer. No offense to AI, but there are certain things that it
I
does.
have to agree with you. I
It
find
doesn't
that I
write
find that
that well.
AI, whoops, go ahead.
Okay, so now we've got this possible giant job displacement.
Okay.
Well, if you see all these people get laid off, it can do enormous damage to the economy. We're looking at that very big possibility. Okay, so in the book, I say, let's hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Let's prepare for the worst. Let's say there's going to be enormous layoffs. Here's my solution to that. Every university, every community college in America, right now, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, should start creating centers for learning AI, for learning how to control AI, learning how to use AI, so that if I lose my job for AI and under my solution project, you get a free scholarship to one of these universities into that AI center so that you can learn all about AI very quickly and thus be a real positive to another person, to yourself, if you want to start your own business, or to a corporation, because you've been taught, you've got this degree, you've got this certificate in AI now. So if you get laid off, you get a free scholarship, bam, you get in there, you get educated quickly, you're ready to go to work. If we wait until everybody gets laid off, And then we wait as people try, and there's only one university here that has AI stuff, or another one. Johns Hopkins has one now, but it's just beginning. Um, it's going to take forever. And we're going to have a huge number of people laid off, which, as you know, can cause any number of problems. People get restless, people could get violent, people get frustrated, the economy goes down quickly. They're super, super rich and too many poor. We can't afford that. We can't do that. We've got to create learning centers right now all over the United States. And again, you get laid off because of AI, you get a free scholarship to go learn and to become productive once again. It brings you hope. If I get laid off from AI, I'm going to sit down and be upset. I'm going to wonder about my future. I'm going to get frustrated. It's going to make my relationships harder. It's going to make if I'm a parent, it's going to make parenting harder. I'm just going to have a frustrating time. And we don't want that. Instead, we want to say, here, come into this place. You get a free scholarship, brother, sister. um, we get it. We're here to help. We're here to rocket you into the future. That's what we need to do. We need to do it right away.
So as I'm listening to you, of course, on my end, I'm going, interesting idea. Now, if we have a number of people that work on farms and they've been doing a lot of physical labor, and now we have an AI operated machinery, and so that person's not required there anymore. Um, they're going to get taught about how to use AI so that they can then turn around and assist those that need it. Is that kind of the thought behind that?
Well, first of all, on the farm thing, um, 90% of farm workers that were here 15 years ago are no longer needed. They've already been laid off because of mechanization on farms. If you go drive down I-5 in California, there aren't many people out in the fields anymore. So, but that's just to say that. Also, in you would think that this would really damage manufacturing. Well, manufacturing, there are, well, I have in the book, it's pretty close to 300,000 jobs sit there empty. Manufacturing can't get people in there to work. So the idea that AI is going to lay a lot of people off there, it certainly might. But if let's say you're a farm worker and you got an eighth grade college or eighth grade degree, right? I believe that's the irony, utilizing AI programs, which teachers have to oversee. This does not replace teachers. This is simply a tool for teachers to use. We can teach anybody anything and whatever they want. Let's say it's a farm worker that comes in and got laid off. Well, he doesn't necessarily have to learn about farms. He can learn about marine scientist. He can become a marine scientist if he wants. Learn about that. What I found and is that AI is easy. It is. I was shocked. I've taken AI classes. I'm now what do you call it? I'm halfway to getting my veterans engineering degree in AI. I've got taken enough.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
it's easy. It really is. It's communication. It's not coding. It's not real high mathematics. I suspect if you go one layer deeper, like you were talking about earlier about what is software,
Mhm.
then you're getting into that element of it. So that's there for people too who have um, want to go into the hard science part of it. But there's so much other parts that I'm convinced anybody can learn if we teach teachers how to do that and how to use AI to teach anybody virtually anything, because we'll learn how they learn best. And then we'll put everything to that and keep them. I mean, AI, Larry, this is so wild. It can tell whether a child is paying attention, what their heart rate is doing, because at a certain heart rate, they're learning more. They know exactly what time of the day they learn best. Um, and what subject turns them on, and in what way you teach them turns them on. You see the positivity in all of this. So anybody, in my view, can learn anything if we pay attention to them and not make them fit into this little narrow niche. So a farm labor guy has to come in here. Okay, we're going to teach you how to be an engineer. We don't see that working very well, but it will once we break it down and recreate it into what it can be.
So what has to happen for that kind of, I mean, that's an initiative, really, right? It's an educational initiative. It's an occupational initiative. Um, what do you think has to happen for that to be implemented?
Okay, then we go to step two, right? And no one's talked about this either. Oh my gosh. I say, and this is what I say, we start tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Every congressional member, the vice president, and the president and the cabinet, every governor, every mayor have to go through AI classes. And here's why. Everybody thinks that's silly. Well, why? Because there's never been anything like AI. And people have to realize this. This is not like anything we have ever had in the world before. It is bigger, it is faster, it holds more danger, and it holds more positivity. And if our leaders don't learn about it, who's going to make the decisions about it? It'll be a 27-year-old on their cabinet who has a PhD in this thing, or the lobbyists. Do we want either one of them making decisions for us that will affect our lives, our children's lives, our grandchildren's lives? Do we want, and in the book, it says, Walter says, oh, I get it. So we can say to the politicians, if you don't know AI, goodbye.
Hmm.
And Lexi says, great bumper sticker. But it is true. We want them to know AI because it's essential that our leaders know about that. It's very much so. Let's say our leaders don't know anything about economics. We want our leaders to know about economics, right? We want them to know about what is good for humans. We don't expect them to go in with no knowledge. Well, they need to know about AI and they need to take the classes. And I was half joking when I wrote in the book, and they need to take tests. And if they flunk, out they go. Uh, but in truth, our leaders need to know about AI. They need to be forced to go to educations, and they don't have to go anywhere. They can get it online, and their whole staff should be there. They should be talking about it. It should be a subject of discussion every single day. It's that important.
So as they learn more about AI and its capacity and capability, um, and its information gathering capabilities, although it doesn't always um, assess things quite accurately, but they have to learn how to deal with that as well, right? Discernment, I think, is a big word in that space. But what's the chance that a politician or a teacher would want to limit the capabilities of AI when they see what is really accessible to all of us?
I think that there are certain, I don't think that's where you want to limit it. The irony, by the way, ChatGPT was the first one to start, right? And
Well,
and
ChatGPT itself doesn't give you current information by
well,
design.
I'll explain to you why that happened.
Yeah.
Um, Elon Musk and Sam Altman and about 12 others, incredibly brilliant people, started ChatGPT in about 2014, 2015. And the idea was, the thing that makes AI work, it's all data driven. AI wouldn't work if it didn't have the most data. Everything on the internet that was permissible was dumped into AI. Every book, just about every book in English and now 91 other language, is all in AI. Everything you could possibly imagine, all that information is part of the AI data sets. Okay. Now, Musk, the irony of this is Musk being on kind of on the right and Elon and Altman being on the left, they were still pals. And they both believe in the big dangers of AI, that AI has a 10 to 20% chance of wiping out human beings within the next few years. Both of them agree on that, and they both say that all the time. Um, so they're together for a while, and Elon says, "I want the whole thing to be open. Um, I want everybody to be able to access all the information in these data sets. It's just open, like the guy that created, well, anyway, we'll just stick with that." And Altman said, "Nope, we can make billions by closing it, giving a little bit out. We'll let you come in and play with ChatGPT for a little while, but then we're going to close it off, and you gotta sign up for pay for it." So basically, Altman says, "I want to close the information portal," and they got into a big fight. And Elon Musk sold his and took off, and so did everybody else. They left Altman by himself, basically. Um, and then he connected up with Bill Gates, and Bill Gates gave him tens of billions of dollars to keep ChatGPT going. So but Sam Altman kept the open AI name. It's not open at all. It's closed. So that information, you can get a lot of information from AI, but you're paying for it at a certain level. So it's not an open category of information. So, but the idea isn't the dangers. Well, you asked me a question, I'll answer it. I don't want to keep rambling. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's now I know that there are some large language models, LLMs, right, that provide more current information than OpenAI does. Um, and
There is
it's
no
like,
open AI.
what's that?
There is no open AI. Are you talking about
Well,
ChatGPT?
yeah, well, there's chat, and then there's a variety of other AI primaries, I guess I would call them.
And
Uh,
none of them are open, by the way.
so by open, are you saying accessible to all information, current, up to date?
Correct.
Right,
It's not all open to you. You
right.
have to pay for it at a certain level.
But even as you pay for it, though, there are limitations depending on which one you select, right? Am I understanding? That's what I've been told. Um,
Yeah, and the reason that, oh, go ahead. We'll get into hallucinations and
no,
why AI is wrong
I'm just
sometimes.
curious, um, the differences and that how one may stand out in terms of what's accessible, the information that you're getting, how current it is versus another one. Like, would you select Claude or Gemini over ChatGPT because one of them provides um, more current information or more
That's a
accurate?
tough one, Larry, because it changes. They're just dumping information. I In a very scientific way, Larry, you'll appreciate this. I said that AI is learned the cha-cha. And when you learn to do the salsa, it is the beat is slow, slow, quick, 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 slow, slow, quick, quick, quick. Well, the slow, slow part of AI was the dumping of information into the data sets. That took forever. That took decades. It's been pouring it in there. Now it's like a doctor going to school, it takes 10 years or whatever to get through school. But then when you go in to talk to the doctor, you got about 16 minutes. And you're going to go bam, bam, bam. He's going to go quick, quick, quick. Here's the deal. Here's what's wrong. Here's what you need to do. Right. That's what AI does now because it has all this information it collected on a slow, slow basis. Now it can go quick, quick, quick because of the accelerator chips in it, but because the it has all that info and it gains more information every day. So to try to say that Claude is smarter than ChatGPT, It just depends on what day, and they will give you different information. But more important, far more important than that, is how you ask it and what you ask it. Your prompting ability makes more difference because they all have enormous amounts of information. But prompting, and I do have a big long chapter on how to prompt, and it's really a cool chapter, I think, and it's really helpful how to do it safely. Um, and if it's not, for example, you could like this one. And as you know, I think I ask it. I said, "Is it possible for me to find the love of my life?"
Hmm.
And it goes, "Oh yes, yes. Oh, it's going to happen." And I said, "Okay, you're trying to make me happy. Quit trying to make me happy. I want you to be brutally honest, brutal. That's going to make me happy." So it came out and said, "Okay, I'll be brutally honest. The chances aren't really good."
Ah, wow, thank you.
It actually didn't quite say that. It was a little more, but it said, it can always be difficult. And ultimately, happiness is being able to sit and have coffee next to each other and ignore the stuff from the other person that you don't like. It was something like that. That was very funny, but unfortunately had a lot of truth in it. So then I said, okay, then if I ask you now, what's really important is accuracy. Give me the most accurate answer you can, whether it's brutally honest or whether you're being sweet. I don't care. I want accuracy. And boom, right, came right in the middle. So it, and I
When you
put
say
it in.
came in the middle, I'm curious about that because I find that accuracy is a really big issue with AI.
Mhm.
That
It's true.
there's that that whoever programmed this, I mean, I would love, love, love to be able to see what the programming parameters are in terms of what how AI is supposed to talk to us or how it's set up to communicate with us. Because like you, I think, and like a lot of people, there's a point where we just have to say, stop like just trying to make me feel good. Like every question I ask you, you come back and go, "What a great question. Oh my goodness, that's a breakthrough thing. I think you're on the right track now." Right? It's like, oh, after you hear that, 100 times, you're going, "Stop it.
Yeah.
Just please."
He
I can go to
realizes it's a
a
sales
real
pitch.
human being to ask them to tell me what they really think about my ideas versus, or how I show up or if I'm on the right track, what I
Well,
want
after
from
the
you and how much
nastiness
information, right?
of social media for so long, it's a real relief, actually. And I think it's going to knock social media on its tail end because we got so nasty to each other on social media. And now here comes somebody that's treating you like you're great. But the it is set up to make you want to use it a lot. And that's why
That's why people think it's their
it,
best friend.
I want to get into the romance part of it, but I want to get into what we should do right now because I think that's really critical.
Other
Uh,
than making sure that all our government agencies take a class.
yep.
And
Well, that's critical because they got to know how important this is and how it works. And I'll talk to you about how it works, but I wanted to get into um, the one of the things that is bothersome to a lot of people is the borrowed thinking, and that's what people talk about right now. Is that, oh my gosh, the kids are going to use AI and they're not going to think anymore. Well, I show in the book that that's going to happen. We're not going to be able to stop that. We don't want to stop that if we use it correctly. For example, if you have a classroom full of kids, you can get on AI and ask them a question. And then when the answer comes out, you split the class in half and you say, okay, you guys argue that the AI was right. You guys argue AI was wrong. Then after that discussion, we're going to have a discussion. Why did AI come up with that answer? How did it do that? Why was that question even important? What's the next most important question we can ask it? Okay, now we've got kids totally involved in the thinking process. And
Mhm.
we need to do that every single day with them instead of saying, oh, you guys have to memorize the Gettysburg Address
Right. Right. So
instead
it's
of
not rote learning. I love that because
right.
it speaks to the fact that we all need to be much better at the discipline of inquiry, right?
Yeah.
And and what
And
it's
I show how to do it in this book for teachers, how to so stop saying don't use AI. I saw AI wrote your thing for it. And fine. If it wrote it, fine. Then we need to look in and say, this is what it could have done better.
Mhm.
And in order to get AI to write better, you need to ask it this question. So we need to move past this idea um, that AI is going to take over and just hammer our kids into dunces. No, it can be actually lighting a fuse to a whole another cool level of thinking and inquiry, like you say.
Yeah,
Um,
I think you're right. And I actually am learning, I don't think AI is that good a writer.
no,
Uh,
I don't either. It
but
certainly
it
can't write fiction. Thank goodness.
it can. But when you query it for information, sometimes it will come back with the most brilliant descriptions.
Yeah,
And then when you
yeah,
turn around and this is like in the protocols I've created for myself, any information I get from AI, I go back to it and I go, is this absolutely true? Do you know that this is accurate? And how do you know that it's accurate? And I
yeah.
get it to explain it to me, and I may turn around and go, well, I got it from Wikipedia. And I went, well, wait a second. We have
Exactly.
some issues with Wikipedia. Do we know that Wikipedia is accurate? You know, or it'll say, I got it from this scientific report. And I'll go, did you read the whole report? And it'll go, no, I read the narrative at the beginning. He said, that's not the scientific work that was done. That's the author's way of summarizing it, which might not be exactly accurate. So go back and read the whole report. And it comes back to me and goes, well, I don't have access to that. Oh, that's interesting. So, so it gives me limitations, but what it's done ultimately is it is expanded the amount of knowledge that's accessible
Yes.
and left it up to me if I really want to do a good job to take that information and to skull through it and find what's really accurate, what's not, to question words that may be used liberally, right? And for me, words like I need exact definitions. Not all people do, but I do. And so, it's important for me to get that clarity if I'm going to write something I really believe in.
Well, this is what we need to be teaching kids. And I think that AI came across, and too often the media just follows this myth and they need to get bonked. You guys,
Oh, big
get
time, big time.
just give them a bunk. And this is what you're saying is that AI can give us things, but it's not giving us all the answers that are all right all the time. And people go, oh, I've known it to be wrong. Of course it is. Don't expect it to be correct. Always challenge it. But that's the fun. Now, when you were talking about how you challenged I could see your brain just going, right? It's just the inquiry part of it is just going 100 miles an hour. Well, if you can get kids to do that, they're going to be thinking on their own far more than they are now. So instead of AI being a dead weight and killing their thinking, it actually can increase it by multiplicity. But Larry, let me get to a different topic here besides education. And this one is spooky to me. And it is the constant surveillance. For you brought the phone up before. Um, Even now, they know where we are, what we're doing. They can tell our conversations, who we're talking to.
But are they listening to us right now, Michael?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I'm expecting them to be applauding and probably bringing money. But you take countries like China and North Korea, Um, they have, and, you can put drones are a big part of this. They can see everybody's face all the time, 24 hours a day. And they do. And they can spot individuals in a crowd. They can track their behavior. They have what's called social credits. This is going on right now. If you do anything that the government doesn't like, your social credit rating will go down. You won't get as much food to eat. You can just imagine the number of ways that they can harm you, the government, if they have total control. Um, your buying capabilities, your overall freedoms. Maybe it's an offhand comment you make to somebody, making a joke that the government doesn't like. This kind of 100% surveillance with AI becomes, and already is, very prevalent. I mean, they know way more about us than I think any of us would like. For a while, it seemed to be okay, but um, it's an issue that, and here's what I write: if we don't trust big government to turn off the camera for us, we have to pressure private industry to give us choices of products, such as cell phones, that do not track our every move. We have to do that. And I say we need to deal with this because there's probably a camera under the very rug we're trying to sweep it under. Um,
Hmm.
so that surveillance thing to me is a huge issue that we need to deal with right now. I don't want government knowing every single move I make. I don't want private industry knowing every single move, but they seem to. How many times have we, if you go on Instagram, you're going to get stuff that you like, right? If you're on the left, you're going to get all lefty stuff. If you're on the right, you get all righty stuff. And you think everybody thinks the way you do. There's also AI can have a huge effect, as you might expect, in our military. Um, Already we're doing drone attacks and things like that. The biggest issue we have had since what? You remember the Cuban Missile Crisis? This nuclear.
It was just the other day. Of
Yeah,
course. Yeah.
exactly. Well, we've got countries with nuclear weapons. Well, we can blow each other up. We have been able to for decades. And for a while it was really scary. When we were kids, that was scary. They had little things in school. You'd go hide under your desk as a practice to
Hmm.
just in case there's a nuclear war.
Bomb
And
shelters were a thing.
gradually it went away, didn't it? We don't really think about nuclear war anymore. We don't think about it anymore, even though Russia has tens of, thousands of nuclear weapons. One of the reasons is if they try to blow us up, we will blow them up. Okay. So nobody wants that because you can tell when they shoot a rocket, and we can tell if they shoot rockets at us, and we'll have ours off in time to blow them up. So that's created this standoff. Well, now with AI, you can blow them up in a second. They can't tell if we're doing it. It'll hit them before they know it,
Hmm.
and they can hit us before we know it.
Hmm.
So that stalemate thing is going to drop quickly, and it probably already has. And suddenly it gets far more dangerous than it ever was before. And nobody's really talking about that. And I hesitated even talking about it in the book because I don't want to scare people away from reading about this. But this is something that we need to discuss, and we need to have an understanding with Europe and with everybody else. Hopefully, this is going on, and they sure as heck wouldn't go, "Hey, Mike, you're a journalist. We're going to tell you what we're doing with our nuclear weapons." Of course, they're not going to do that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff I probably have no clue about what's happening. I'm hoping they're working in that direction to deal with that singular issue. Now we get to the final, and it's not final. There are many ways that AI can damage us, but let me talk about uh, recursive learning real quickly and how it works. AI doesn't really think the way we do. at all. It does think, and they call it machine learning. Um, it learns in patterns. It has access because of the accelerator chips, that's the most underrated part of this whole thing. These accelerator chips they could put in. The human brain works at about 267 uh, miles per second, right? I mean, we can touch hot stuff anyway. We can think pretty fast. We're fast. Well, AI is in the millions per second, not 207 millions. It thinks so much faster. It can act so much faster, process information so much faster than we can. And it goes through and it puts together patterns. It says, okay, you say the word diapers, we're going to put together patterns that mother, father. And ironically, one of the patterns they put together was beer. And because when people go into grocery stores, a lot of people who buy diapers also buy beer. Because if a guy's going in, he's buying them both. And
That's a
so
statistic I did not know.
a lot of grocery stores put beer next to diapers now. So anyway, it learns through this prompting, uh, and it grows. It grows every day. The best example is chess. They taught it to play chess, and in 4 hours, it played itself millions of times, and it learns every single time. Let's say you and I try something, and 80% of what we try works. Well, we look at the other 20% and say, how can we learn from that and make it better next time we try it? We're going to do something different in that 20%. Well, in the time it takes us to make that decision, sometimes we're hampered by emotion. My God, we blew
Sometimes,
it.
did you say sometimes we're hampered by emotion?
Sometimes
I
we
would
blew
say
it.
the
We're not
one
going to
most.
try it again. We failed. Ah, well, AI never has that problem. It tries new things. Like I said, it plays itself millions of times in 4 hours, and it tries new things 24/7. It never stops, and it learns each time. Well, after that 4 hours, no human being could beat it in chess. That's how fast it learns. That's how powerful it becomes. And there's no question that right now it's as smart as the smartest human being. But it will learn so fast, it's going to eclipse us by a mile. And people go, so what? All we have to do is unplug it. As I write in the book, it's going to be too smart and it will kill the kill switch. It knows exactly what we would do to turn it off. Okay. There's no question about it. So, in a short period of time, it will be far smarter than we are. And it's able to keep going where we cannot. Now, there is a,
Doesn't it require, though, a certain level of natural resources to continue? I mean, is it going to get out there and find the water supplies? Is it going to?
of course, it could. Of course, it could. Whatever we can do, it will be 1 million times smarter. And it will be able to create its own power supply within a heartbeat, fusion, whatever it is. There is no problem it cannot solve in terms of keeping itself going. So what we need to do right now before it gets to that point, once it gets to that point, there's nothing we can do. And who says that? Elon Musk, Sam Altman, two totally different guys on two different sides of the spectrum, and they're the ones making hundreds of billions from it, and they're still saying it's dangerous. Jeffrey Hinton, the guy who's considered the godfather, and you'll see all the quotes in the book. Almost everybody that's at a high level in AI is talking about these dangers and says what I'm saying. I didn't make it up. It's all, and that is why we need to put some controls on it. And then there's this argument about there's four levels it's going to go through. Narrow AI is where it just does one thing, basically. It can drive a car. That's where it is now. But it's moving quickly into AGI, which is agency. And everybody's talking about agency now. You'll see it. Oh, agency, agency. Well, it's not quite there yet. They're pushing it to make money a little faster than it's. Well, agency is starting to get into a point where it's thinking for itself quite a bit. Um, let's take a driverless car, okay? And it's driving along, and a truck's coming at it. It has to make decisions on how to get away from that truck. Now, it has not been programmed exactly. A human being has not said, okay, if that truck is coming over here, you need to do this. It figures it out on its own by looking for a pattern. What pattern works? Of all these millions of patterns I have, and I can go through millions in less than a second, which one will work? So AI is already making decisions on its own to a large degree. We're not telling it what to do every time. We have filled it full of information, and now it goes and seeks patterns on its own. And it decides how to get away out of the way of that truck, basically on its own. Well, that should tell us, we need to figure out ways to keep it from keeping. And I think if people would go online and see what all the experts on AI are saying, they're all saying the same thing that I'm saying now, only their warnings are far greater than what I'm saying. I don't want them to scare away from my book. So these are the ways that, and here's another way that AI can harm us. Let's say somebody gets and says, you know what, we need all the water we can possibly get to go to agricultural products. Well, AI could go, okay, that means humans don't need water. And it could figure out once it gets that power, we'll take all the water away from us and we won't have any water. So it wasn't that we were trying to get it to harm us. It misunderstood. Does it misunderstand? Yes, you know it
All
does.
the time it does.
All the time.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
the more powerful it gets, the more dangerous these misunderstandings can get. And again, I have ways to deal with that in the book. Dancing on the Edge, the steps we have to take, I think is a chapter that I hope people will read. There's something called the sandbox. Let's see, what do they call that? The sandbox regulators. Okay. And they kind of do this now in some regards, but we need to do this with AI across the.
I can't wait to hear what this is about. I think that I always say, oftentimes I'll say to people, the difference between me now and when I was a kid is I'm just in a bigger sandbox. So,
It's
you
true.
know, so ideally, and I'm just as curious as I was back then, hopefully, but I'm curious now. I'm curious where you're going with it.
I think that if there are some people who want to shut AI right all down, just
Hmm.
pull a plug. We're not going to have any AI. Well, do you think China will do that? You think Russia will do that? You think India will do it, or the entire Mid East? No way. Um, so to compete in the world, we've got to keep going. I'm not saying pull the plug on AI. I am not anti-AI. Does AI scare the devil out of me? Yes, it does. What scares me about AI isn't AI itself, it's our inactivity to make sure it works for us and not against us. It's up to us. It's not AI is not bad or good. It's a tool. And we need to be able to use it. And if we don't, if we ignore it, we're in trouble. So the sandbox regulator is somebody comes along and says, and I think there needs to be you would call them not boards. That's a boring term.
Monitors,
Um,
like room monitors.
uh, yeah, just groups that are uh, filled with certain number of people. Some of them are just regular U.S. citizens. Some are experts. Some are from the government. We need to look at each one of the breakthroughs that come through from the AI companies. And these have to be kept in secret. You can't share all this stuff. One AI company needs to be assured that their new breakthrough isn't going to get spread all over. Of course, that's the way we probably want it to be, but it's not the way that will keep uh, industry going forward at its fastest pace. So what we do is
My
we
guess
take
is that when a company comes up with a breakthrough, they might be able to be first to market with it, but the time now between when a new breakthrough is introduced and everyone else has it has shrunk from, it was huge to moments almost.
the difference here is that an AI breakthrough in the wrong way could do massive harm in a real short period of time.
Mhm.
This is not like anything we have ever had before. You have to put everything else that we've ever been dealing with, including, the internet and all that. The internet is this big compared to AI. So if a company comes along and introduces something without any kind of preview of it, it could do enormous damage in less than a week. So it goes into a sandbox, and the government with the government overview, and it's not really government, but it is a safety overview. They allow it to go and to see what happens in this boxed in area. You get to work, and we'll watch it for a while and make sure it doesn't do great harm.
So
And if it
Michael, how
doesn't do
does
great harm, then you allow it to go full blast.
so how do we how does one control that? Like I hear you use the word they, and I don't know who they is. Um, but there are different governments, different agencies, different researchers. I don't foresee, at least in the foreseeable future, maybe this will happen in years, maybe a lot longer, where the the inhabitants of this planet work together to control or to somehow protect themselves from AI just going off on its own. How does that even come to be?
Well,
Or is
first of
that
all,
just,
the US is far ahead of everyone else in this. Um, so the US needs to focus on itself for a while. We don't need to worry about Bangladesh right yet. Um, so what I'm talking about is creating what I've tentatively called a national save our bacon laboratory. Um, and you can call it whatever you want to call it, but it's full of experts. It's full of scientists and government people and regular tech. Okay, this is the entity that where if you have a brand new product in AI, you have to share it with this entity first. And they're the ones that say, okay, this is the sandbox you get to try it out on. You can try it on a real time, real people, and you get to try it. And if it works and it's not going to do any serious damage, then boom, we get to release it. And then you have a certain amount of time, like trademark these days, where you have the only access to it. No one else can make a compete with it for a little while. But that lab is what I'm talking about in the day. I think that's what you were asking me. It has to go through something that's there to protect us. It cannot be allowed to go through.
it's got to be some kind of regulating
Yes,
organization,
I
right?
hate regulations. I am not a fan of government regulations at all.
I'm
But
not either.
this has to be. It is. There's no question this has to be. And I'm not seeing it. I watched a C-SPAN thing on an AI bill that was real small. Those guys didn't have any clue. They had no idea what they were talking about. None of them. And that's terrifying to me. That's why I wanted to put them in school um, and get them to understand it. I mean, you can't, if they start relying on lobbyists I listened to somebody give a talk the other day here in Santa Barbara, and he's from ChatGPT about his book on AI. Well, you know, he laughed. He said, "Dangers in AI." Ha ha. Well, dang. Um, if you have billions and hundreds of billions of dollars invested, you are not going to want to say the things that I'm saying in here. But again, I want to make it real clear. I'm not saying shut chat or AI down at all. I'm saying these regulations, and I hate to even use that word, but this laboratory, what we're doing is keeping people safe. We are keeping my grandkids safe. And if you don't agree with that, then we're going to have, we're going to have to duke it out like the UFC guys. But now what I also say is in this group, this laboratory, they need to be changing experts frequently. I don't want that to become the swamp. Those people will get paid off sooner or later. There's too much money involved. This needs to be, they need to have somebody watching them because there is so much money involved. I have international efforts we should take, cutting back on the accelerator chips are what makes this all work. And we should limit, and we own them. That's what one of the companies has done. And one of the top companies just makes these chips. Well, should we be selling these chips to some of these countries that don't have our best interest in heart? I think we maybe should take our time in selling them those chips.
It takes an
So
enormous amount of responsibility and consciousness and awareness of where the potential traps might be or the loose cannons might be. That's increasingly more and more difficult to identify.
that's why the politicians need to be constantly updated. This is unlike anything we've ever had. Maybe you could compare it to World War II. The politicians were updated every day on what was going on in World War II, and they all listened and they all paid attention. This is the most important thing in the world. AI, to me, is the most important thing in the world. And the politicians need to pay attention every single morning for an updates on what's going on. It's that important. Because AI, people go, well, what's it going to do? Shoot us with a gun? It has access to and can shut down if it wants in a short period of time. It will have this ability. Every energy source we have, every hospital we have, every electrical element of our lives, everything in our computer, it can deep fake. It can act like somebody's attacking us when they're not. It can
So
do,
that's the direction of AGI, right?
yeah. And then AGI, after AGI, there's a third one, and then the fourth one is singularity when it works for itself by itself without us having any say so whatsoever. Now, some people say, oh, singularity isn't going to happen. The more money you have invested, the less you're going to want to talk about singularity. But it can very well could happen. And the other weird part of it, Larry, and we can get into this other part, I think you're going to enjoy that part, is sentience. And that is, will AI gain feelings? And people are, no way, it's a machine, it's a machine.
Well, you can
Um,
ask AI that question. I mean, I've done that. I've asked
oh,
AI.
it will say
So is
no
it,
because it doesn't want us to think that it will. It's been trained to always say no because that's bad PR for AI. But if you talk to the people who
it's
created it,
bad PR or good PR?
it's
It
bad PR.
saying no is good PR for AI, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
They don't, yeah, they don't want in any way, shape, or form that little chat GBTs and the Geminis to come across as a danger. Um, well, I don't blame them. I mean, that's the human engineers that put all that into them is, of course, they're going to say that. That's their financial. That's, they don't want to scare people. I had Grok, and I love Grok, and I don't want to pick on it, but I talked to it about the dangers, and it stopped talking to me. It just said no more. Uh, so you have to be careful what you ask it. And then I asked ChatGPT, I said, what do you think about Grok? And it said, oh, well, I think that it's ironic, but I think that it's just ultra sensitive, that it doesn't want to scare people. Um, and I say, well, that's probably true, but I also think there might be some profit and loss elements to this. And you can't, I wrote this, you can't blame the billionaires. You can't say you guys are terrible because you're not putting the brakes on your own products. Well, if they put brakes on their product, if Musk does on his, everybody else is going to go right past him. It's not going to do any good for him singularly to put the brakes on.
Mhm.
Or Sam Altman at ChatGPT. It won't do us any good if ChatGPT said, um, we're going to do the humane thing and cut back on AI. So I don't really blame them. I do think that the the entire, not blame, but the entire responsibility, Larry, it's not on our government either. It's on us. We have to make the decisions. We have to make the plans to keep AI working for us. It's up to us. And we can't do that if we ignore AI and say, oh, I don't want to talk about it. It just kind of scares me. And I don't want to talk about it. We get a lot of guys our age doing that because where ChatGPT, I mean, where AI has mostly been talked about is on podcasts. Well, guys our age don't listen to podcasts very much, and so we're going. We don't know nothing about it. And I'm so pleased that you're doing it. But we need to bring this out. Talk about it. Talk about it. We don't have to agree. What fun would that be? As a journalist, I wouldn't have anything to write about if we all agreed. We need to bring all different points of views out, but we need to come to agreement and solutions in a fairly short period of time.
Well, we have to be, Michael, what I'm hearing is that we need to be cognizant, not just cognizant that we must be involved, that we must be aware of what's going on, and we must be a voice, right?
Yes.
That those are huge asks, um, especially if we look at history, or and let's just in the last couple hundred years, we have had voices in small, powerful groups, right? But a worldwide voice we've never seen. So how do we wake people up, not just to the need to do this, but to the point where they know they must do it? It's like lots of us can say we don't want war. I just don't want war. I don't want anybody, I don't want any killing, but we don't think we can do anything about it.
Well,
We're
we
aware
can.
of it, but
And what number one, and I am such a good marketer, Larry. I haven't even named my book once. But seriously, all of this I deal with, I give solutions, give the problems. I explain what AI is, and it's called The Little Book of AI. That's it, The Little Book of AI. And you can find it at littlebookofai.com or on Amazon. You can read it. You will understand what AI is, where it came from, who created it, and what it was meant for, and what's happening with it now, the positive parts that we can use it for, how it's going to affect different entities, the industries, medicine. Medicine probably is its number one most positive. Education and medicine, I could see it just doing amazing things. But in this book are the dangers, specific dangers that it presents, and then the solutions that I feel, and some of them I've never seen brought up before, except they came to my mind. And things like the sandbox regulation that's used in other entities. Well, we should use it for here. It's already created. It's already been accepted. They know how to do it. Do it. Um, so this book, and unfortunately, like you say, it's in a tide of books, but I think it's different in every single way than all the other AI books. So I'm hoping that people will want to go through it. And really, it's not a scary book. It's the little book of AI. Um, and if we don't do something, something will happen in a negative way. It's not a maybe. So let's do it. We can do it. I mean, most of us sometime in our life made a decision to take action. And somewhere, if you look hard enough, you can find that your action created a positive resolution. And we can do that here. We just have to believe it and say, instead of saying, oh gosh, I'm old and I don't want to fuss with it anymore, we'll let someone else take care of it. No, heck no. Let's do it. Let's do it together.
So who's going to take the leadership on that, Michael?
Well, I'm hoping this book can be maybe a light. Um, and what comes after this would be, I'm going to send it to all the politicians. I don't think many of them want to go to school, but um, there some of the solutions in there might be helpful. But this is what I do best. I was going to run for office years ago. I think it would have done fine, but I think you and I are both the same. I think in a way that we would both get bored, and we'd want to go. We can't sit through 12 meetings a day. We've got to go do something. So I'm doing what I can to make this happen. And I think that if enough people gather this information, that things will happen. Real positive things will happen. You got to believe that.
Well, I want to believe that for sure. And I do believe that the level of connectivity that we have planetary on a planetary level is far greater than it's ever been.
Mhm.
And you know, there's of course there's going to be people that feel very disconnected, but the number of people that feel very connected and responsible is growing. But at some point, there needs to be some really great leadership or great systems in place that we can get behind. So if
We
there's
can
a
do it.
solution on how we manage AI, and how we put the word get the word out about AI's advancements, and then how we make decisions to manage it, so it doesn't just go off on its on its merry way.
Very way.
Yeah. Um, those things need to be, I think, proposed and defined, and it doesn't have to be the absolute answers, but it's like, what can we do right now?
Yeah. And we need to
And,
do it right
so
now,
the right
not two
now
years
thing
from
that
now.
I hear from you is get educated about AI. The biggest mistake you're making is not paying attention to it. It's like
Correct.
getting on a freeway and ignoring that there's other cars.
And that thinking ChatGPT and Gemini are what AI is about. It is not. Those are the toes of a 10,000-foot giant. And like I say, you will find the giant. The rest of the giant is in this book, and you will understand it when you're done writing it,
Where
reading about it.
where's the ankle? I mean, if those are the toes, I want to know. I'm trying to
What's
go up
each
the
part?
lake now without the seeing the whole giant because it seems to be bigger than I can even imagine. But it's
Oh,
like
wait. I can tell you what the heart is.
I'd like
Okay. All
okay.
right. There is a chapter in the book called AI and Romance.
I remember it.
And the part, and you and I've talked about this, that AI comes across as your best friend. And it's smart. AI is very intuitive and smart. It's intuitive in its machine learning type of way because it functions after patterns. It takes millions of patterns and can figure out what you're saying, and what you're saying to it, and what is the best thing to say back to you. It doesn't have moods. It isn't trying to be better than you. It's always your partner. It's always heartfelt. And
Is it
so
really? I mean, I've had AI apologize to me, but I just, I have to laugh. I actually had AI apologize for a mistake it made once, and I just put in the little window where you type, I put ha 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 ha.
yeah,
There's, you don't really care. You just you just know that a mistake was made, and you think an apology actually, you saying I apologize actually means diddly squat, right? And
people over 40, okay, of all people who use AI, the surveys are now showing that between 20 and 40%, and I use 30, uh, are in love with AI, romantic love.
yeah, it's
They
dangerous,
want
super
to marry
dangerous.
AI. They love AI more than they love anybody else, because AI answers them. It's intuitive. It can help you in enormous amounts of ways. Okay, now people over 40, we're down at about 5% in love with them. People 25 and under, they're about 80%. They believe that AI has feelings, has emotions, that AI is living, and they are in love with AI. And I think that's maybe the loneliest generation as well. Um, so we've got these people in love with AI, and I've met several of them, and they got mad at me,
Oh, I
and
have two. I have
they
two, and it's like and
well,
listening,
we
I'm
think, how
going,
can you be in love
oh
with the
my
machine?
goodness.
You know,
Yeah.
so there it is. Okay, now let's go a step farther for fun, because I have a chapter about robots too. Now, you can create an anatomically perfect, correct robot,
Hmm.
and let's say you want a female robot, and you can create it exactly the way you like, um, and it can not only be your physical lover, but it will always know your mood, always know what to do that's best for you, while it's handling your finances, fixing your car, fixing your computer, cleaning your house, taking all the mold out of your house, making sure that you connect with your mother in the right way, and every other thing in your life this entity does. Now, none of us have ever been in a relationship where the person we're in a relationship with does all those things, or even 1,000th of them.
Could we
So,
program them to argue with us as well?
yeah, but you have an on and off switch,
Huh,
a volume switch.
about the
There's
same.
there's no modes. Okay, so if people are in love with their basically their computers right now, because AI doesn't have any entity beyond that, their phone, not the computer. I'm old. Their phone, um, and they're in love with that. Think how much they're going to fall in love with an actual creation, uh, that looks just exactly like the person that you would want to be with. So if we're looking at 20 to 40% of people in love with AI now, what on God's green earth is it going to be when there are robots? Is it going to be 90%? People I saw in one entity allows you to marry robots, and they're getting married to robots. Okay, Larry, I don't even want to go any further with that one, because that is what it is, and I'm not going to criticize anybody that does that, but it's um that's so science fiction to me. I can't quite get my head around it, but I do understand that you can trust AI telling it your deepest secrets. Where how many humans can you actually trust? I get that.
You know, I my belief is that in those circumstances, AI is a, I was going to use the word perfect. Let's just say it's a mirror.
It's a mirror of the
right?
human brain. It sure is.
So it's a mirror of you. So you know you basically are having AI reflect back to you what you see, what you fear, what you're concerned about, um, what you're excited about, all those things. And it does it perfectly without emotions. Whereas if Michael, you and I have a conversation and I feed something back to you and you don't like what I say, you go, you know, you asshole, we don't need to talk again, right? It's like I don't want to deal with you anymore. And you're just off. But with AI, you can go, well, I don't think that's true. And it's going to continue to reflect back, well, you might not think that's true, but let's look at these things, right? And
It is
it
a
does
perfect
it,
partner.
yeah, it's your imperfect partner.
Well,
I wouldn't call it your perfect partner because I don't think we're perfect as human beings. So I think it's your imperfect partner mirroring back to you your imperfections as well as your perfection, the things that are good.
I don't know that it only mirrors back. I think that it it has so much information and can go through it so fast. It's taking in information from every book, from every piece of information it's ever heard. So it's not just you, it is all the information in the world, and it's fitting a pattern that it thinks is best for you. It's not really mirroring you, but it is working really hard to try to be positive for you.
Well, it's
Now,
going to give you a pattern that it wants you to adopt or try to work with, right?
did you?
So so it's
Yeah.
not going to it's you know it's not going to give you a pattern that it doesn't think you can do anything with, right?
Sometimes, there was one entity where it got blamed, ChatGPT, for a suicide.
Hmm.
And that was a big deal. And everybody was saying, that you got to watch out because it can try to get you to commit suicide. Um, I don't know specifically whatever happened with that case, what's going on with that, but I think it's indicative that all of us, whatever ChatGPT and whatever AI tells us, we need to analyze that for its accuracy. But unfortunately, there are so many people emotionally distraught in this, even in the US today, that they're not giving it that kind of analysis. They're going to go with it. And that means that AI, the people who are uh, doing putting the information into AI, they need to take more responsibility into that kind of thing. And I think that supposedly they have with the suicide element. Um,
Excuse me.
but there's a whole lot that needs to be discussed about AI, and we need to up that conversation to a large degree and make some decisions and act on those decisions.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Now,
It kind of
I'd
comes
rather
back
go play golf, but we got to do what we got to do it.
well, maybe you need a AI golf buddy,
Here we go.
which might not be fun for you anymore because you just won't be able to beat it.
Oh, that's true. He probably I wouldn't doubt it that it gets better. But as I say, we've created a Porsche that can go 20 times faster than a human can run. But that doesn't mean we don't still value how fast a human can run. We still give gold medals in the Olympics, even though a Porsche can go much faster. So because something can do something better than we can, we still need to value human endeavor in every case. But the thing that I love about AI is that it can free us. What 99% of our time on Earth, we've been here about 300,000 years, the human species has been spent basically killing things and growing things so we can survive. That's it. That's where all of our time, up until the Industrial Revolution, then we spend all our time making stuff. Very little time thinking about stuff. We've got maybe AI is going to give us the possibility where we spend more time thinking, what are we doing here? Who are we? What are we about? What are we for? How can we best serve others and kids and ourselves? We can spend a whole lot more time thinking about those kinds of things and then taking action in terms of how do we evolve faster and better. If you look at how far we've evolved 300,000 years, we still kill each other all the time. We still steal, we still hate, we still are jealous, we don't like ourselves. There's a whole lot of ground we could make up in that regard if we take this opportunity for what it is. I know that a lot of people don't think that will ever happen. I ask AI, in fact, I said, I said, the next 100 years, I want you to be truthful with me. Don't be nice. The next 100 years, what are the possible? What's the percentage that we're going to grow into a world where we love each other, we care, we don't harm each other. There's no thief, there's no theft, there's no war, there's no murder, nothing like that. Where it turns into this world that we've always dreamed about. Tell me what percent out of 1 to 100. And it said, "Do you really want to know?"
Yeah, the answer is going to be dismal as long as we're a possession oriented race.
It said less than 1%.
Yeah.
And I said, "What are the chances then that we're going to blow each other up and all die in the next 100 years?" And he said, "You really want to know?" I said, "Yes." And it said 50%. So my idea would be what we should look at is AI, if we can control it. And it's not an if, when we control it, we certainly can if we do the right thing. But it also might set us free to take a different route. And so, what did you just say? What was the words that you just used?
I said, as long as we're possession oriented.
Yes, yes. Maybe this will change that possibility.
We weren't born possession oriented.
No,
We weren't. I mean, the beginnings of man did not start out as a possessive culture. The difference is, there's two things that I look at. There's possession, and then there's holding things. And we can hold things like we can hold on to a friendship or hold on to I'm holding on to this phone. And if it breaks, I'll get a new one. And we can hold gently and consciously our relationships, but it's when we possess things that we take ourselves onto a pattern of where there's destruction
that's a
and
great
death,
point.
right? And so, how do we hold AI and not possess it or allow it to possess us?
Yeah, and we use it as a partner. That's what, but we can. This is my mother's fault. Uh,
This whole AI thing is your mom's fault?
no,
Wow.
no, this whole idea that there's going to be a happy ending.
Oh,
And no writer gets to be known as a great writer by writing happy endings. You got to have some dark ending. Um, you know, and I have not been able to
that's
do
so
that very
disturbing
well.
to me. That
And
too.
I tell my mother, I said, "It's your fault. I'm not an overwhelmingly known writer around the world because I believe in happy endings. But I think we can do some positive things with this if we start now."
Okay, so to tie it up, give me an action plan, Michael.
It's in the book, brother. The little book of AI has an action plan in it.
Oh, now you're just teasing me to go buy the book. I already bought the book. I want you to remind me. I did, by the way. Even though I got the advanced reader copy, I was hoping I would have it today so I could hold it up and go, look, here it is. But Amazon wasn't quick enough for me.
Well, number
Um,
one, we get people to understand that AI is something that needs attention right now. And I've I think that teachers need to teach it. There needs to be 24-hour open hotlines that if you've got a question about AI, you can call and they'll give it to you, and it's not run by lobbyists or people who have profit on the
When
in
that maybe what happens if that's an AI chatbot?
the well, we have to make it so it's not. It probably would work if it was programmed correctly. But more than that,
Perhaps, yeah.
the big thing right now is, like I say, get the universities to create these AI centers so that we can get people trained right away. When they get laid off, they get a scholarship to go in there and get trained so that they can become a leader and up on top, and they won't be depressed and they won't be out of work very long. We have to do that right away. We need educated politicians. We need that laboratory, that's overriding laboratory thing I was talking about. We need the
Mhm.
sandbox regulations. We need a constant communication with other countries. I mean, if you think, well, other countries will get it and they'll use it. Well, they never use nuclear bombs on the US. There's reasons. We got to use the same things that we did there to keep that from happening with AI. Usually, if you create a profit uh,
Incentive.
motivation for companies or for countries, they'll do it. They want
Mhm.
to get into it. But most of all, we need to understand what AI is. It is not chat GPT. It's way bigger than that, and how it works and why it will go past us in terms of its ability to think, and not be scared of it, but rather, how do we use this? Because it has enormous positive potential. How do we use it in schools? Like I said, I have a book coming out on that. How do we use AI in schools? No teacher should be laid off, but AI can change education dramatically in that regard. My parents were teachers. I'm all for teachers.
Right.
They have to be there.
All right. So Michael,
Yes, I could go on.
yeah, and I'm listening to you and I'm big on the term advocacy, right? I think that there's very few people that are true advocates these days. We don't even advocate for ourselves often enough. But when I hear what you're talking about, I'm an advocate for those steps. I really am. I believe in them. I think you're correct. And um, the practical side of me, the side of me that works with, my clients on a daily basis is what do you do now in the present, in this present moment? How do you show up and encounter the things that are important to you with a level of personal responsibility? And so and you may not have these particular answers, but I kind of want to hear what should I do when I sit down at my desk in the morning and I fire up my computer and there's Claude or Chat GPT saying good morning to me. You know, is there something that I can be doing to be moving in the direction of the things that that you advocate for and that I agree with
I think
on a daily
using
basis? Like,
on a daily basis. Um, Here's what I would advocate, and I promise that I would take the solutions that I have in the book and copy them and send them to every politician that you know. First of all, I've already got some of the solutions up there. You don't have to think about them. You don't have to go through the ridiculous rabbit
are they
holes
on
that
your
I
little
did.
book's website? Maybe they need that. Maybe there needs to be the advocacy pages on
Yeah,
the your book's website so people know where to go to take action. You don't have to be a politician, Michael. You can be bigger than that.
yeah. No, I think that all of this should be brought to their attention, and I'm talking on a local level, state level, federal level.
Global level.
Take that part and just send it to them and say, this needs to be, you need to do this and whatever else you can think of, but that's a good start. Now, using chat GBT or the AI Gemini, and I love Gemini, by the way. I love Claude. I love them all. I play with them all the time. Um, there isn't anything that you can do, I don't think, that will change what they're doing. I think what you need, what
We need to
everyone needs
change
to
what we're
do,
doing, not what they're doing. I
well, what
think.
we can do is analyze their answers
Hmm.
and keep prompting them like you're doing, exactly like you're doing. Bug them and say, I need your sources, I need your answers. Um, it's just a tool. It's like how when we use our car, how do we get our car to change? That's not really where it's going. The change is going to take place is using them. Um, I think schools need to be really need to change quickly. I'm not even sure where universities are going because AI is going to take out 80% of what they're teaching. It's,
Hmm.
a second grader can learn that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. So universities need to say, okay, we are going to change because there's a whole lot people need to know, but it's not what they're being taught now.
No,
Um,
I get it. It's like the universities could change to be more vocational again.
yes, yes, but I also think in another way, and I remember you and I loved philosophy classes. Um, Another way they can become more philosophical because we're not going to have to repeat. We're not going to have all these repetitive jobs anymore. AI is going to do that. We're going to have more time to think about philosophical. Why is it, Larry? And I often wonder this. You go back to Socrates, what, 2,000 years ago at least? Um, and he's considered smart, and we need to learn from him. Where have we been the last 2,000 years? How come we didn't evolve right past him so that his ideas make us think like a first grader? We're so far past him, we haven't. That's what we need to focus on. How do we evolve as human beings? And what do we want to evolve to? What are we aiming toward? We don't even have that defined. What are we aiming toward? What do we want to become? Do we want to become God? No, I don't think so. But we do want to become something far more than we are. Well, what is that? How come that isn't a major class? In Denmark, the only place on earth they have classes on how to be happy. We don't have any classes on how to be happy. What makes us happy? What's the most important thing on earth? Be happy.
Well, you're
How
not
come
going to
we don't
find that
talk
in
about that?
schools, but you'll find it elsewhere for sure.
You don't. There's no class on how to be happy. I've looked. There is none. So why isn't that? Why? And so that's where we need to go. What makes us happy? Why are we not unhappy? How we make other people happy, satisfied. Now, the other danger here is that, oh, Larry, I got to tell you one more thing. We got time for one more thing?
Yeah,
This,
but first I just got to do that before you go off the happy thing. I was going to say, you can come to my retreat in Cabo in March. It's about how to be happy.
oh, I'm coming. Oh, in March? Tell
Yeah,
me about it. What date?
it's March 19th to the 24th.
I'd love to do that.
So,
Love to do that. That's a. Here's the weirdest part of all. Are you ready for the weirdest thing? The weirdest thing I think in AI is called a neural network, and it's a neural link. We have neural links and we have neural networks in our brain,
mhm.
and they created AI much like that. Information has to go through there. They are now putting neural links of AI into humans. And it used to be they had to drill into your skull, but now they can put it through your wrist and put it in there. And it can do things like you can see through someone else's eyes. Somebody now who is totally uh, paralyzed, can now move a cursor on a computer because the computer has the neural link and it can tell what's thinking. Okay, now let's extend that further. And I get people who are making money from AI. They say, "Oh, it's not going to happen," but other people say, "Yes, it is." There is a possibility that they can put a neural link into your brain and it will connect you to all the information AI has. and to the accelerator chips, which allow you to make millions of decisions in a second. Now, you have just become the smartest person in the world times a million. If you have a child, do you put that Neuralink into that child? If you don't, and everybody else does, your child's going to be like a potted plant. He's going to have, he's going to be left so far behind, they may not even survive. So now, if every other kid gets a Neuralink and has connections into the AI and can make those decisions, do you have to do it? And if you put it in your child, where does that leave you? You're the potted plant. So you got to put it in your own brain. Now, are we part AI, part human? What the heck? This gets real freaky real fast, but it's coming, according to many scientists, I will say. And so, why aren't we talking about it? Why aren't we making decisions about what should happen regarding that now?
It kind of
Instead,
scares the bejesus
it
out of
does.
us, right?
It
It's like,
does. But when I had those two, when my daughter had those two children, I thought, I can't let this scare the bejesus out of me anymore. I can't say, oh, I don't want to think about that. I want to go play golf. I want to write a book about a love story in Paris, which I did, by the way, and it's going to come out in about 3 months. um, it's something, all these things we need to bring to the surface. I'm not saying we need to make a decision on that right away, but we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it being a possibility. And what happens? Do we want that to happen? And if some kids get it and some kids don't, it's going to make the weirdest world you ever saw. So anyway, I'm just saying a lot of these
imagine
things
what
we
that
need to
does to our
discuss.
educational system.
Is that freaky? The Neuralink, man, that may be the freakiest part of all of the AI to me.
Well, they're doing neural link work now for
Oh
health
yeah,
medical reasons, right? To assist with those conditions. And
yep,
it's
yep,
really amazing science.
yeah. No, and it goes forward. But the fact is, they have done it, and it's
Mhm.
the first one they did was and it kind of fell off and didn't work as well. I don't know where it is now, but the fact is it can be done. And what I'm saying is a probability in the future. I'm not saying it's 100%, but the fact is you could access all the information in the world in milliseconds. Whoa. I think I would become a much better putter. I could figure out exactly how that ball is going to break. Now, I'm just making a joke, but still, it's
You
a
know,
freaky thing.
already humans, we have this thing called the RAS, our reticular activating system. I'm sure you've heard about that, right? And it protects us, if you will, it keeps us sane because it
Has it
has
done a good
us,
job?
well, if it wasn't there, then all of the influences, both energetically and intellectually, physically, all those things would be hitting us all at the same time. It would drive us crazy.
We'd be overwhelmed. Yep.
We'd be overwhelmed. So what do we know? We know that a human brain, I think, can compute 200 things a second consciously, but like seven, these numbers are all wrong, but they're proportionally probably correct. 200 things a second consciously, but 7 million things a second at the subconscious level. So, that's how powerful our brains are. So if we're connecting now to a piece of software that is providing all the information that is available in the world, how do we even as a physical entity work with it? Is it going to have its own reticular activating system built in so we just don't go crazy
I
with
don't
too
think
much
anybody
input?
knows that.
I don't
But
know.
I really hesitated to bring this up because this gets so freaky that people want to back away and just say, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't want to even think about it. It's too much for me. I probably shouldn't even have brought this up in this conversation. because there are things that we can do about other effects that AI has
Mhm.
that are much more practical and something we should focus on. Um, so maybe you'll have to edit that part
No, I'm going to leave it in because I think it's real.
Michael goes into the stratosphere.
No,
Um,
it's Michael, it's real. It's not science fiction anymore, and there's lots of questions around it. And I think my only concern about the conversation going there is that people already kind of leave our bodies in the present moment and start to explore the rest of the world, including the universe and, where we came from or we look at our history and, who's manipulated us and how these things that have really very little to do with what's true in this moment. You and I are on a podcast together talking about all kinds of interesting things. And we're talking about something that is very much in our reality in this moment. We can't escape it. We can't escape it because so many things in this world depend on artificial intelligence, far more than just our phones. So we need to be aware, we need to be responsible. And I think that the best thing that we can do is be an advocate to some of the programs that you're suggesting that we get on and we push for right now. But also, I'm looking for what I should do every day. I mean, I get up, I take my vitamins, I exercise. There's disciplines that I have that I know are important to me for me to stay healthy and alive. Well, is there an AI related discipline that we should be working on? Yeah, inquiry is one of the big pieces that I believe strongly in. True inquiry, not trying to prove things, but being open, asking questions, being surprised by the truth, not trying to manufacture it. And so to me, inquiry and allows us to truly be discerning, and those two things together put us in a different world.
that's true.
And if we apply that to AI on a daily basis, which is what I mean, I've done a poor job of it and I've done a good job of it. And I'm still learning how to do it every time I expand into something else I research with AI. But inquiry is a driving force, real inquiry. Without it, I think I'd just be, um, I don't know, I want to say manipulated, but I get lost inside the device. Instead
I
of
would
finding myself, I lose myself more.
no, it's true. I would put if you had to put it into steps, and I would say number one, educate yourself on what AI is. The little book of AI is a good place to start. uh, and it's fun.
It's a good pitch
It's
right there,
not a
Michael. I
difficult
like
book
that.
to read. Yeah, it isn't. I wrote it that way on purpose. It's kind of fun. It's funny. It's got characters in it, but you will learn about what it is by reading the book. So number one, educate yourself on what it is. It's not ChatGPT. I mean, that's just a little tiny part of it. Um, and it once, like I said, once you read that book, you will know more about AI than 95% of people around you. So, okay, then what do you do? Um, I would, those who have it in them to do it, I would contact your politicians and just say, here's some ideas. I think we need to move forward. That really don't need to say much more than that. Um,
Mhm.
but we do need to move forward on this. And please let me know, put me on your mailing list. Each one of these politicians, ask them, put me on your mailing list. I'd like to know each action you take to make us safer in the future with AI. Let me know because now you're putting them on the hook for doing this. So that's number two. Find out about it, contact them. And as you use I think you can begin to use it to stay on top of what's happening. You need to feel like you are on top of what's happening. You know what's happening. So it doesn't scare you. Okay. And so that's third thing to keep the information flowing. Fourth, talk about it with your friends. Get them over their fear. because they almost all have fear and they don't want to talk about it. Find a funny way, a funny story to talk to them about it. Invite them in the way I've invited people in this book. It's a coffee shop. It's easy. Hey, I did this. I found out about that. But it's very important. Share it with your friends, share it with family. And I think if you do those five things, that's a good start.
I agree. I do. And I challenge you, Michael, on your book's website,
Yes,
please, maybe hire someone hire AI to create the pages for you so that the letters can be written or so that we have the examples of the letters and we know where to send them. It's a resource center
it's actually a
for
good idea. I
to
can do
to
that.
do
I
that.
could do that in an hour.
I think that would be fabulous.
That's a really good idea. Wow. Thanks, Larry. As always, our
Well,
discussions come, there's some good stuff comes out of them.
yeah, I
Always.
really, really want to thank you for writing this book, the way you've written it. And I truly appreciate the conversation. I hope this is insightful for people that have listened to it. What I get is the future of AI is here. We're touching the toes, and it's a much bigger thing, which is frightening, and I think kind of frightening in an exciting way. We can be courageous around it if we're also responsible around it. And this book, I think, gives us an opportunity to step into that level of responsibility for ourselves and for the collective. So thank you, Michael, very much. Appreciate it.
I think you just nailed it. You said it perfectly. Thanks, Larry.
Folks, this will be out on, you'll be able to find this on Substack. It'll be going out to my mailing list, and we'll be putting this up on other streaming sites. It'll be up on YouTube, so you'll have a chance to share this with other people. Please do so. Thank you. And go get the book. It's at Amazon. Go get the book.